Okay, let's read a little bit about the Impoundment Act. Hopefully this is the right one. I'll get my Obsidian notes up too. Alright. Fuck. Listen, okay. I'm a little bit of a boomer, but it's okay. Legislation. Impoundment Act 1974. Okay. The Impoundment Act of 1974 created the procedural means by which Congress considers and reviews the executive branch's withholdings of budget authority. It requires the president to report promptly to Congress all holdings of the budget authority and to abide by the outcome of congressional impoundment review process. Although the basic framework of the act is sound, there are several refinements that could be made to the way that the law is administered. This is a reform thing. We don't want to read this. This is asking it to be reformed. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in knowing what is in the act. Is there a link to fucking read it? Oh wait, okay, hold on. We may have money. 43 pages. Hell no. This is the most subversive crap ever. What does that mean? Listen, I'm trying to get my shit in order before we read some legislation, alright? We're in it for the long haul. This is gonna be a long stream. If you're not willing to sit through the boring part. But I know you are. I know you're willing to sit through the boring part for me. Okay, I think we're just gonna be wiki warriors for now. The Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974, ICA, is a United States federal law that governs the role of Congress in the United States budget process. Titles I through IX of the law are also known as Congressional Budget Act of 1974. Title II creates the Congressional Budget Office. Title III governs the procedures by which Congress annually adopts a budget resolution. Oh, okay. A concurrent resolution that is not signed by the president, which sets fiscal policy for Congress. This budget resolution sets a limit on revenues and spending that may be enforced in Congress through procedural objections called points of order. The budget resolution can also specify a budget reconciliation bill be written, which Congress will then consider under expedited procedures. Okay. Okay. God damn. What a name. Okay. The act has been amended several times, including the provisions in the Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act of 1985, the Budget Enforcement Act of 1990, and the Balanced Budget Act of 1997. The original 1974 legislation, however, remains the most basic blueprint for the budget procedures today. Okay. The Byrd Rule. Jesus, oh, I forgot about that problem. This is gonna be annoying as fuck. Fuck copying off of Wikipedia. The limitation on debate that prevents a budget reconciliation bill from being filibustered in the Senate requiring 3/5 vote to end debate led to a frequent attempts to attach amendments unrelated to the budget to the reconciliation bills. In response, the Budget Reconciliation Acts of 1985, 1986, and 1990 adopted the Byrd Rule. The Byrd Rule allows senators to raise points of order against provisions in reconciliation bills that are extraneous. Provisions are considered extraneous if they do not produce change in outlays or revenues, produce change in outlays or revenue which are merely incidental to the non-budgetary components of the provision, are outside of the jurisdiction of the committee, increase outlays or decrease revenue if the provision's title as a whole fails to achieve the... Okay. This is way too... I think I just need to... Fuck. Okay. I think I just need to read more basic civics. Like, how does the federal budget process work? I think that's more so what we need to read. I can see myself losing viewers. Listen, this is the content that I want to make. Learn about the federal budget process from the president's budget plan to Congress's work creating funding bills for the president to sign. Every year, the U.S. Congress begins work on federal budget for the next fiscal year. The federal government's budget fiscal year runs from October 1st of the calendar to September 30th of the next. The annual budget covers 3 spending areas: mandatory spending, discretionary spending, and increase on the debt. Okay. So we can deal with this later. What we need is government. I guess funding can be its own thing. I guess that is outside of fuck, now I want my notes on the screen too. Okay, hold on. We're gonna put my notes on the screen. I took a basic civics class but never learned how the budgets are created, etc. Yeah, I mean, that's tail of the tape. I think that's most people. That's me included. I obviously I know nothing about this, or else I wouldn't be reading it. We want window capture. Obsidian Vault. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me switch to a different thing, so you don't just see the ugliness of this. And then I need Rini to come up here. Okay. Should be good now. Okay, so we'll do types of funding, and then mandatory spending. Well, we won't do bullet points yet. Discretionary spending. I'm a bad speller, so forgive my note taking. And then interest on debt. What makes it mandatory? Oh, okay, wait. Spending required by law. So in these laws, does it say like this much has to be spent? Like this much specifically has to be spent on this? Opinions on Jon Stewart. Do you think he'd be a serious candidate for 2028, or is it kind of cope? I'd much rather have Pete and the nominee, but I'm not very informed on the bigwigs in the D Party. Jon Stewart, I think, is funny. I think he's a helpful voice, and I think he has like a unique ability to reach across the aisle towards Republicans, which is good. I don't think he has interest in running for public office, or at least it doesn't really seem that way. And the arc that he's on right now of downplaying the Trump stuff, I obviously don't care for, but that's just a personal thing. He's earned a lot of goodwill with me. I think he's really smart. I think his activism to pass the PACT Act and the other expanding of veteran healthcare was really good. But as like a presidential candidate, I don't think he'd be interested in that. Okay. So the budget planning begins a year before the budget is... Oh, okay, so wait, hold on. Government's fiscal year. Federal agencies create budget requests and submit them to the White House. OMB. Okay. So, call this steps. OMB refers agencies' requests as it develops to the budget proposal. As it develops the budget proposal to the president. Okay. So OMB refers requests to the president. The president submits the budget proposal to Congress. Okay. Here's a question. Does the president have the authority to negotiate... Fuck. With exec agencies. The president... Okay, so president submits request to Congress. Proposed funding is divided amongst 12 subcommittees, which hold hearings, each responsible for funding different parts of government's function. Okay. That can just be directly copy-pasted, I think. I don't know why it keeps putting the 1 next to it. The House and the Senate create their own budget resolutions, which must be negotiated and merged. Okay. She merged and passed. And then Congress sends bill to president to sign or veto. Okay. So the reason that I wanted to look into the Impoundment Act is that I was watching a debate with Pisco, which basically said that and everyone kind of agreed. It was a 4-way debate. Basically saying that the president has some level of discretion on whether or not he authorizes spending on wasteful, on something that's wasteful, and that the president apparently dictates what is wasteful or isn't wasteful spending, and he can put a 40-day pause on that. I don't know if that's true. I wanted to see the specific provisions, but I guess that act is way bigger than I thought it was. God, I need someone who knows, like, a lot of civics. Was that Pisco and Soy Pill? It was whichever one happened last night. The framework of the budget process can be divided up into 5 stages, which the governed by its own procedures and outlines in the Budget Act. Is the Budget Act like something that the Budget Act the thing that they pass every year, or is it the thing that outlines the procedures by which they pass the budget? I don't know. The rules of the House and the Senate and other relevant statutes. The last 3 stages often occur simultaneously. The president submits a comprehensive budget request to Congress in early February, which outlines the administration's policy and funding priorities and the economic outlook for the coming fiscal year. The budget, which estimates spending, revenue, and borrowing levels, is compiled by the OMB from output by various federal agencies and with funding broken down into 20. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. OMB. The OMB refers this to the president. Fuck. I can't type. From input by the various federal agencies, with funding broken down into 20 budget function categories. Hold hearings on the president's budget. The Budget Committee report a concurrent resolution on the budget that sets each committee's allocation of spending authority and aggregate spending to the revenues of the past 5 years. The budget resolution also adopted is not law and is not signed by the president. Hold on. The budget resolution also establishes aggregate totals with respect to revenues and spending for the entire budget. This resolution, once adopted, so what does that mean? Establishes aggregate totals with respect to revenue and spending for the entire federal budget. Fuck. I'm being stupid. Okay, that's what I thought. Looking about admin stuff. Hope you're good. Yeah, I'm doing civic stuff right now. Report a concurrent resolution on the budget that sets the committee's allocation of spending authority for the next fiscal year. I'll come back to this. This resolution, which passes, is not okay. These allocations enforceable through points of order establish framework to consider spending. Oh, okay. So this is just like suggestions to the House and the Senate. That doesn't seem like that big. In May, the House begins consideration of the 12th annual appropriation bills for the next fiscal year, based on the discretionary spending allocation in the budget resolution. As these bills move through hearings, markups, floor considerations, and conference, they are constrained by the levels and allocations in the budget resolution and the enforcement of the Budget Act. Oh, fuck. Okay, this is like really dense. If the spending and revenue levels in the budget resolution require changes in existing law, the resolution would contain instructions to the committee's report. Okay. My brain's melted right now. Okay, wait, hold on. Fuck. Okay. I can't read this. It's too dense. But that gives us a general idea, at least. What is the Budget Act? Fuck, okay. Beginning in the early 1920s, the president began to assume more prominence in setting the federal budget. The Budget and Accounting Act of 1921 gave president overall responsibility for the budget planning by requiring him to submit an annual comprehensive budget proposal. Okay. Right, okay. Proposal to Congress. The act also expanded the president's control over budgetary information by establishing the Bureau on Budget, later renamed the OMB, in 1971. By contrast, the Congress lacked institutional capability to establish and enforce budgetary priorities, coordinate actions on spending and revenue legislation, or develop budgetary and economic independency of the executive branch. Conflict between the legislative and executive branches reached a high point in the summer of 1974 when members of Congress objected to President Richard Nixon's threats to withhold congressional appropriations for programs that were inconsistent with his policies, otherwise known as impoundment. Okay. I heard this referred to as well. So we'll do Nixon. Okay, so 1974. This doesn't need to be a bullet point. Nixon threatens to withhold budget appropriations to programs that do not match his policy aims. This dispute led to the enactment of the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974 in July that year. That act reasserted Congress's constitutional control over the budget by establishing new procedures for controlling impoundments and instituting a formal process through which Congress could develop, coordinate, and enforce its own budgetary priorities independently of the president. In addition, the law created new legislative institutions to implement the new Congress budget process. The House and the Senate budget committees to oversee execution of budget process, and the Congressional Budget Office to provide budget committees and the Congress with objective, impartial information about budgetary and economic issues. The agency began operating okay. So, impoundment in general, not even the act, impoundment is what we want to look into. Um. Fuck. Okay. So, Congress impoundment. Oh, there's a PBS article about it. That won't be too dense. Let's go. I should turn on my beep though. Happy Friday. Welcome to the stream, Biggs. All right. Okay, we should be good. Big dog lurkin', roll up. What that means. I'm at home, sick, playing hooky from school. Based? I mean, work. I mean, hey. never hand wave away a day off. What's going on, big dog lurking, rolling up? Oh, okay. Congrats. We're doing civics, so this is kind of boring, but that's okay. What you need to know about impoundment and how Trump vows to use it. Before winning re-election, Donald Trump campaigned on the promise to shake things up in Washington. In his first 2 weeks in office, that shakeup has included orders to freeze nearly all foreign aid for a chaotic 24 hours, so all federal grants for 24 hours or so. Oh, and for, okay. So, froze all foreign aid and federal grants and loans. Okay. While 2 judges have hit pause on Trump's federal spending freeze, his administration has signaled the matter is far from resolved. The brewing showdown, god damn, I'm dyslexic today, is over a centuries-old process called impoundment, in which the president, whose administration is tasked with distributing funds, doesn't allow congressionally appropriated funding to be spent. Okay. So we want to say impoundment. Impoundment is that. Do I have the oh, nope, I don't. Damn it. That's okay. I have a plugin for Obsidian on my computer that allows me to do that. It is a concept that is normally so dry, so esoteric, and so distant from Americans' everyday life that your eyes may start to water as you try to recall whether or not this was ever covered in school. Yet at the heart of this legal battle is a key question of American democracy, whether the U.S. Constitution, the president, has more spending authority than either Congress or the Supreme Court has ever previously permitted. Trump himself has long argued that the executive branch has power to spend or freeze federal funds, something that most experts say is Congress's purview, and has vowed to use impoundment to cut federal spending. God fucking damn it. I'm such a bad reader today. When the founders of the United States were drafting the Constitution in the late 18th century, a disagreement arose among some framers over how spending power Congress should have. The debate wasn't settled until the 1930s when the Supreme Court ruled that the legislative branch had broad authority. This is mad interesting. Thank you. The debate wasn't settled until the 1930s when the Supreme Court ruled that the legislative branch had broad authority to tax and spend other nations. The power of the purse. Yeah. That power has belonged solely to Congress. It's always been the case that Congress provides money in a specific amount for a specific purpose, or sometimes an open-ended amount for a specific purpose. And the president is required to follow the law. He is the chief executive, not the chief lawmaker. True. Congress's power of the purse, quote, really does preclude the president from unilaterally deciding not to spend money that Congress has already approved. Managing director. Okay. It's the core demonstration of checks and balances that exist within the federal government. Crucially, the Supreme Court decision didn't address whether the executive branch had any substantial power over its own spending. Then came President Nixon. Though Nixon is better known for other legal shenanigans, he also went bananas impounding congressionally appointed funds. I need to, in my Obsidian, I don't know if you can see, yeah, I have, history U.S. politicians, and then I have, like, a list of politicians that I've done research into. I need to learn U.S. history really bad. That's it. I just need to learn. I need to learn U.S. history really bad. The volume of impoundments Nixon implemented demonstrated there was a need for an overhaul of the federal budget process and a formal mechanism through which the president could exercise the checks and balance and request of Congress a change in previously appropriated funds. In 1974, Congress passed the Congressional Budget Act and Impoundment Act, which regularized the process of impoundment, granting the president a little more authority than before. But the ICA doesn't allow the president to unilaterally change the budget. It doesn't change in any way the underlying premise that when Congress writes a budget law, it means it. And the president's job is to execute it, not defy it. While Nixon's administration released funds after successful lawsuits against them on a number of occasions, there was one case that reached the Supreme Court in Train versus the City of New York. The court ruled unanimously that the president did not have the power to withhold the city's funding. Importantly, the case was not a dispute about the ICA, but a specific impoundment. The Supreme Court has not ruled on the constitutionality of the ICA. Ooh, interesting. Maybe we'll just watch the PISCO debate and take notes. Are there ways a president can withhold funds? The president does get input into how Congress wants to spend money. Appropriation generally involves extensive negotiations between the president's administration, or with the president's administration. The president can also veto the budget passed by Congress. Former President Joe Biden signed a short-term funding bill in December, which runs out in mid-March, which Congress needs to propose a new spending bill and get Trump to sign or veto. The ICA provides two avenues. The president can withhold funds, deferrals, and rescissions. Okay. Careful with the PISCO debate. It's mad. I watched a little bit of it. It looks interesting, at the very least. God, I wish I could talk to... I wish I had access to PISCO. Someday. If everyone subscribes, maybe. Be careful, lots of shouting at the start. Yeah, all I saw was the start. So, if it calms down, then I've gotten through the storm. Deferrals are generally uncontroversial. It is a way for the government to save money on appropriated funds or delay using those funds until they're needed. When Congress passes yearly disaster aid, the administration can temporarily hold it to ensure that there's enough funding for hurricane season. Okay. So, DM him. It's probably most likely to set something up. The thing is, the problem with reaching out to Pisco is that I'd have to do it on a particular issue. I think I could probably get him to come on stream, maybe. But I'd have to. I feel like I'd have to have a little bit of background on the issue, for him to just come on to a rando stream, or have something to offer. So at the very least, this process would be necessary anyway. But maybe if there's like a particular thing, I could have like a synth type of conversation with him. We'll see. Maybe. But I do need people to subscribe anyway. Okay. So what does it mean to save money on appropriated funds? Okay. I don't care about Snyder. The administration. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the worst thing that happens is that he doesn't reply. Yeah, probably. I just don't want to waste time, you know. The executive branch has every intent to still spend that money. It's just temporarily holding it so it can achieve some sort of cost saving or administrative efficiencies. Okay. Wait, so if it has every intent to still spend the money, how would it do cost saving? What? A rescission, however, is an agenda-related funding freeze. It's for when Congress appropriates money that, for policy reasons, the president does not want to spend. The process of requesting a rescission begins with the president sending an official letter to the House and Senate Appropriations Committee, which must approve, disapprove, or ignore the request. If it's denied, the process ends there. If it's approved or ignored, then it goes to full Congress, which has a period of 45 days to consider it. I believe that as Congress considers it, does that funding get frozen? The House and the Senate must both approve the request before the funding is rescinded. If Congress denies it or does nothing, the request dies and the administration is legally obligated to release the funds. The president can also propose rescissions to the budget that aren't through the ICA, such as working closely with Congress to propose legislation to withhold previously allocated funding. Okay. The passage of the ICA also established the House and Senate budget committees as well as the Congressional Budget Office. The act specifies that the president can only impound discretionary funds, including infrastructure and defense spending, not mandatory funds. What does impound mean? It gave the Government Accountability Office oversight of the ICA, the ability to sue the administration if it believes that funds were withheld in violation of the ICA. The GAO is headed by a comptroller who serves a 15-year term. The current U.S. comptroller general is Jean Duraldo, who was confirmed in 2010. In 1975, then comptroller took President Fitzgerald, President Gerald Ford. Oh my God. To court over impounded funds for subsidized housing. Fuck. Okay, this was not dense enough. There was like way too much language that didn't mean almost anything here. So when it says impound, what does that necessarily mean here? Oh, I assume that means withhold. Discretionary funds. Okay, it can only withhold discretionary funds, and we know that. The president can also propose rescissions to the budget that aren't through. Okay. Okay, so this budget deferrals is something that I have to look up. Fuck. Okay. Hopefully this isn't hyper dense. Authority provided by the law to enter into obligations that will result in immediate or future outlays of government funds. Any executive branch action or inaction that temporarily withholds, delays, or effectively precludes the obligation or expenditure of budget authority with the intent of using the funds before they expire. To achieve savings or greater efficiency in operations of the government, or as otherwise specified by the law, may not be deferred. Oh wait, hold on, okay. Budget authority may not be deferred in order to effect a policy in lieu of... Okay, so this is... Fuck. This is so dense. So I think with the intent of using the money... So, okay. So a deferral would basically mean... But does this mean past the... Okay. The question is if you... So is a deferral past the budget deadline? Or like the fiscal year? So like when you defer funds within the budget, are you deferring them past the year? Because if you're not deferring them past the year, then I would assume that the manner in which the allocated money is spent would be up to the three-letter agency. And if they just do it right at the end of the fiscal year, then that wouldn't be a problem. So I'm assuming that deferrals mean past the budget deadline. Up to the end of the first year of availability. Fuck. I need someone who knows civics better than I do. I need this explained to me. What the fuck? Okay. Does this guy know civics? Does anyone here know anything about the shot in the dark? Could it be that it refers to something outside of the scope of discretionary spending? Fuck. Okay, wait, hold on. This should all be under just the government part. Outside of the scope of discretionary spending. I'd have to know what you mean by that. Could be that it refers to something outside of the scope of discretionary spending. No, okay, so we're talking about Congress setting the levels of funding for these agencies. Oh wait, okay, hold on. So does Congress... Oh, fuck. Maybe this is it. Does Congress set the way that the money has to be spent, or does it just set the amount of money to be spent? So, what is included in a budget resolution? A budget resolution is an agreement between the House and Senate that establishes recommended levels of spending and revenues for a minimum of 5 fiscal years. I'm pretty sure it's just the amount. That's what I thought too. But if the departments choose how they want to spend it, then why would he have to put in... Why would he have to put in a deferral? Just to hold funding from to the end of the year. There's no funding for hurricane season. Okay. So if the departments choose how to spend it, then why does it matter if they choose to spend it all for hurricane season? That doesn't seem like it would even need the president to come out and get a deferral. They disagree on where the funds are being redistributed. Well, then that wouldn't have... Congress would have no part in saying where the funds are being... Wait, hold on. So, from what I understand... Oh, God. If anyone who knows civics is listening to this, I'm sure they want to rip their eyes out. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure that a deferral just happens within the agency. So, if this much money is allocated to whoever disperses disaster aid, then they're just talking about putting that funding on hold until there's a disaster. But then why would that need a deferral if that money is allocated to them to spend however they determine is necessary? God damn it. Also, fuck. Stream is super delayed from chat. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that also refers to. All of this is just bouncing ideas on what would make sense. I have no background on this. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Deferrals are permitted. Contingencies. So, okay. This is on the National Archives. let's read this and hope that it's not too dense. Okay. Title 10 of the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974, as amended, requires the president to transmit a special message to Congress whenever a permanent rescission of budgetary resources is proposed. It requires that special messages be transmitted to Congress when funds are withheld temporarily from obligation. Okay, wait. Does this mean that the money is withheld from the agency until they need it? Or does this mean that the agency is not spending the money until they need it? And then who withholds the money? Like, who's responsible for distributing the money to the three-letter agencies? Oh, this is what I need this fucking... Oh my god. I need that civil servant to come on. I'm gonna take notes, okay. Who is responsible for distributing funds to three letters? Is the money withheld from the three letters? Agencies have a budget. Congress can vote on reallocating any currently unused funds from those agencies, like whenever Congress votes to dip into Social Security funds to pay for things. Sure, but that's not what we're talking. Okay. So what we're talking about right now is the president deferring money that's allocated to the three-letter agencies, not renegotiating with Congress, like reallocation of funds. We're talking about doing this kind of separately from Congress. But if you have like a civics, if you have a civics background, if you're generally informed on the budget, please, I beg of you, if you're in a position where you can, join the Discord server. I'll invite you on stream, and we can go through this. Because I'm dying up here. Oh shit, that was my Discord server. Okay. Is money withheld from the three letters, or are the three letters withholding the money? Impoundment means any executive action or inaction that withholds or precludes the obligation of expenditure of budget authority. In contrast, a cancellation proposal is a proposal from the president to reduce budgetary resources that are not subject to the requirements of Title 10 of Congressional Budget and Impoundment Act. Amounts proposed for cancellation are not to be withheld from obligations. Such amounts are subject to... Okay. Okay, so we're talking about withholding... So what we're talking about is withholding the money from the three-letter agencies, not the three-letter agencies holding the money themselves. Okay. There are two types of impoundments. Is there any chance on the Republicans turning on Musk? On Republicans turning on Musk. I'm like 41. I'm like 49-51 on it, because it truly does not seem like, and this is just from my experience talking to Republicans, like on TikTok or something. So it's not the greatest representation. But it doesn't seem like Republicans are as gung-ho to defend Musk as they are Donald Trump. Like, it does feel like Elon Musk is fallible to them. So I'd say it's definitely a possibility, but I don't know what it would take. Because right now is already crazy enough to where I feel like everybody should be turning on Musk, but Republicans aren't there yet. I think a lot of it will depend on the effectiveness of Doge, of like them actually being able to cancel funds. It'll depend on if Elon has a big disagreement with Donald Trump. And it'll depend on him keeping the Nazi salute stuff, that kind of behavior on the wraps. I think that those are the three things that will keep Musk. But it's so fickle, because I was even hearing like reports from earlier on, like right before Trump was even taking office, that he was getting sick of Elon. So I guess it depends. I think if MAGA will turn on Elon depends on Elon's relationship to Donald Trump. Because I don't think MAGA will ever turn on Donald Trump, but they will turn on anybody who is disloyal to Donald Trump. That'd be my guess. But I don't know if that relationship is strong or not. That's the idea. Just in case, I don't know if anybody's missing this, but if you want to join the Discord, LOL. That says hidden. Use the copy button. That's not what I meant. Okay. I hate Discord so much. Okay, give me a second. Oops. What the? Okay. Oops again. Okay. If anybody wants to join the server and talk to me, that should be a functioning link to join the server, hopefully. Yeah, okay. It should be functioning. For auditing funds, can be withheld for audit. I believe that is why there is a 90-day time limit on the freeze without congressional vote. The audit has that time to produce the evidence before a normal operation continues. I think that's okay. For auditing funds. So first of all, the deferral process, I think okay, fuck. I think it depends on what kind of funds. So if it's like withholding, the problem is I don't know, like, auditing on what grounds. Like, are you trying to find out that it's wasteful spending, or are you trying to find out like, what are you trying to find? And then who makes that determination? And then what is done with that determination? Is the question. Because as it relates to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I think they're saying that they have the unilateral authority to just cut off wasteful spending. Or to withhold wasteful spending indefinitely, which I think is absolutely wrong. But I think I got my answer, more or less. And Homestead, please, if you want to, if you're knowledgeable about civics and you want to come in and talk, because I saw you join the server, please do. If you want to jump in waiting room, if you want to come up and talk, if you can't, it's fine. But I would love to talk to somebody who knows a little bit of civics, because there's a block in my brain right now. I mean, as this relates to Donald Trump, I think it's pretty clear that the funding freeze was illegal. Because, like you said, there's a time limit, and Donald Trump didn't put a time limit on his funding freeze for the audit, which is bad. Does Elon Musk care about the lawlessness of what he is doing? Absolutely not. Republicans don't care about lawlessness right now. Republicans are like, I think after the Supreme Court ruling that found Donald Trump immune from like presidential action, I think Republicans just feel comfortable throwing law out the window. I don't think law plays a part even remotely in what they're doing right now. Okay. Means enacted legislation that reduces the budget. I'll hop in debate just in case. Any executive action or inaction. Okay, wait, hold on. Any executive action or inaction that temporarily withholds or effectively precludes the obligation of expenditure with intent of using the funds before they expire. Okay, so then my question would be, why do you even need to do that? If it's up to the three letters to determine how they're spending, why do you even need a deferral? May approve appointments that reflect availability budget resources temporarily withheld from obligation through the appointment process. OMB may take such deferral action on its own initiative or at the request of any agency. If the three letters control their spending, why need a deferral? Okay. I think we're going to move on from this for now. But I'm not going to delete it from the agenda because I need to learn this stuff at some point. I'm so tired. Let's get into more pop politics stuff. I think that'd be easier. Oh, fuck, wait. Oh, I wanted to... Okay. I guess we'll read this and fact check it. At USAID, waste and abuse runs deep. So the question is that if... does the president have an obligation to spend wastefully? Like, if there's wasteful things appropriated by Congress, does the president have the obligation to spend that money? And then, if he doesn't, who makes the determination as to what is wasteful spending? Oh. Okay, wait. So this... Okay, so none of this has... Okay. Okay, so there's two problems with what we're looking at, right? Okay, hold on. There's two problems with what we're looking at here. One is that the term waste and abuse, as it's being used here, seems completely subjective and completely political. And two, we're trusting Donald Trump or Donald Trump's administration to faithfully and accurately describe these funds. So 70,000 for production of a DEI musical in Ireland. I highly doubt that that's the phrasing that's used. Like I highly doubt that that's not a gross oversimplification of what that funding was appropriated for. And if it was allocated by Congress, does Donald Trump have the authority to determine what is wasteful spending? Fuck, I should go back to that CBS article because it probably covers that. Because Trump and members of his administration have said that they believe that ICA is unconstitutional. Supporters say that Article 2 of the Constitution grants the president entirety of the unitary executive theory, gives the president power over the federal funding more than just appropriating the funds. That it was undisputed that the president had the constitutional power to stop unnecessary spending. This is I almost said a bad word. This is so stupid. This is just like blatantly counter-constitutional. Really? So he's saying that even the authority granted to him by the ICA to defer or rescind funding doesn't give him enough power, and so he's unconstitutional. Holy fuck. Okay, this is stupider than I thought. Oh, boy. This is our president. God save us. Because the Congress obviously has the ability to determine funds. Doesn't it say literally in the Constitution that Congress has the right to set the budget? Congress has the power to impose taxes, borrow money, regulate trade, establish currency, declare war. Okay. Fuck, there's so many tabs open on my computer. Where does Congress's power of budget come from? The U.S. Constitution. Wow, thank you. Makes clear Congress holds the power of the purse, giving it authority to lay and collect taxes, duties, and impose excises, and specifying that no money shall be drawn from the Treasury without appropriations by law. Okay. No, I feel like that's pretty clear. I was going to say, is there an argument to say that, okay, well, like, that money can be allocated to the federal government or, like, to the executive branch, but Donald Trump would have the authority to say where that money goes, just like the heads of each, or just like the three-letter agencies can determine where that money goes. But if the money is specifically allocated to the Environmental Protection Agency, then Donald Trump doesn't have the right to hold that money and then send it to a different agency. Okay, we'll come back to the Impoundment Act. What is this? If it was voted on, then it is funded. Waste would be determined by the implementation and use of the funds, like they did $510 hammers or one $5,000 hammer with those funds. Yeah, but who determines that the implementation of those funds was wasteful or fraudulent? And then the question is does the president have the ability to stop wasteful spending just by the declaration that it's wasteful? That's, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of minutia here, and it feels like you need to have a lot of like civics background in order to answer a lot of these questions. Which is why I want to watch the Pisco debate, but it's like 4 hours long, so I want to read a little bit more before that happens. I want to read this this memorandum from the Attorney General. Because it looks like we're bringing back the death penalty. Read it. I'm gonna. Okay. From the Attorney General. Is not the voter who decides if it's wasteful. That's a tough question, because what I would imagine, like if I was running the federal government, I would say that, okay, yeah, the Congress allocates the funding. Whether the president thinks it's wasteful or not, he has to follow what Congress directs the spending to go to, because Congress has that authority. So I would ultimately imagine that Congress would have the power to determine what is wasteful, what isn't, just by making the budget. Like, they wouldn't allocate federal funding to things that are wasteful. But what Donald Trump is arguing right now is that he has the determination to determine what is and what isn't wasteful, and to not spend congressionally appropriated money on what he determines is wasteful. That is subjective, unfortunately. Yes, but I need, like, there's no objective way to tell what is wasteful or not. But the question is who determines subjectively that it's wasteful? Is it Congress or is it the president? And then can the president freeze funding to things that he deems as wasteful? I would assume no, but I don't know the legal processes by which that's determined. It's not determined like directly by the voters, but we don't determine a lot of things directly from the voters.